Hey guys, Matt Allen, Tim Little, welcome back to TacticalBassin. What we want to talk to you about today is actually a topic that came through because a video we did a couple weeks ago. At the end, we asked for your requests. Tim mentioned that we get low on ideas sometimes, and it's great to get your feedback, and quite a few of you responded to that. And because of that, we've got this video for you today. Actually, at the end of this video, we'd love more of your requests as well. Shoot us a comment at the bottom, send us an email, whatever you like. Let us know what topics you guys want to hear about. But what we're going to talk about today is bait size throughout the year. Specifically, the question was about wintertime, but we're going to talk a little bit about the whole year. Basically, what he was asking was, you get on the forums, you hear people talking about how in the wintertime, you've got to go ultra finesse, really, really light in order to get bit. And then you read some other guy's post, he's telling you you've got to go to giant baits to get bit. So what's the deal? Which one is right? And I think that we agree right off, both of those ideas are correct. It's not that one is right and one is wrong. Both of those are correct at different times or just your different fishing style and your goals. Do you want to take it away first, talking about wintertime, finesse, why that works? A little bit of that?
Sure, yeah. Wintertime, finesse, cold water, 50 degrees, lower, 45. Sometimes I'll throw a super small micro hair jig. It's real important to match the hatch. You got to remember that fish are real lethargic. The water temps are really cold, and the fish don't want to travel very far to eat that bait. So you got to soak it in front of their face, real small baits, real small presentations, and match the hatch, and it puts a lot of fish in the boat.
And I agree 100% with all of that. Where I vary just a little bit is if you specifically want to catch a giant fish. And I think that's where that discussion always comes in online. You can absolutely pick up a 7-inch worm in January and catch a monster fish. We are not arguing that at all. But if you want to target that fish, if that's specifically what you're looking for, we recommend going to a big bait. The reason for that, the idea behind it, Tim hit it on the head with match the hatch. If you're trying to fill a limit and you're out there in the wintertime and these fish don't want to move, you throw a little bait matching the little bait that they're eating, you're good to go. If you specifically want to target a giant and you believe that the giants in your lake are eating big meals, you go big, because in the wintertime, a bass doesn't want to expend, at least a big bass especially, doesn't want to expend a lot of energy to get their food, right? They're struggling to survive. It's cold. Their body is not working like it does in the summertime. They're just trying to make it through. So when you throw a giant bait and you fish it very slowly, it's worth it for them to eat it because it's a big meal and they can go back to just sitting on the bottom, just getting through the winter months. So that's where that difference comes in. If you're trying to target a giant fish, a giant bait will get bit in the winter from a fish that just wants that one meal. Just pick it off. But I think the key is fishing slow. Whether you're fishing a Huddleston on the bottom, whether you're fishing an S-Waver or some other glide, the key is to fish those baits very methodically, as slowly. Basically, each bait is a little different, but as slow as that bait will allow you to fish to get those fish so they don't have to run after that thing and expend a bunch of energy in the cold.
And realize, too, it's a mental game. Throwing those baits, you're not going to get a lot of bites.
Right.
When you get bites, they are going to be typically bigger fish. So if you're fishing at a tournament, it's a great idea to have one guy, fishing for the limit and have one guy fishing for the kicker. And like you said, you're going to get, big bites on that bait. So rip bait, same thing. Any of these types of baits you use in cold water, pay attention to size, match the hatch, and how fast you're ripping it. We had a rip bait video. We talked about the cadence and that type of thing. But yeah, super small finesse baits all the way up to HUDs. They catch fish in the wintertime. Don't be afraid to go out. It's cold. Put on some good clothing, but it makes for some good fishing.
Absolutely. Now, branching into the rest of the year, we'll just sort of touch on that. Tim hit it right off the bat when he said match the hatch. What I think about when I start thinking about rolling through spring into the summer is that in most lakes, not every lake, but most lakes, that grass starts coming up. The fish, the bait fish specifically, really start to get into that grass. Whether you're talking about bluegills, whether you're talking about shad or some other minnow. And then in the fall, you start getting the baby bass growing big enough to be eaten. It's match the hatch. The bait starts going into that grass. You go into that grass too. And all of a sudden, you're talking about that mid-range bait. You know, your shad might be getting up to 3, 4, 5 inches. Your bluegill are fairly small. The baby bass are going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. So you want to fish in that range. And that's how we decide what size we're going to throw. You can still go really finessey. You'll still catch fish, but you generally catch a smaller fish. You can still go really big, but you're really limiting your bites because most of the bass are keyed on that mid-range. You know, they're eating, again, the shad, the bluegills. They are eating the crawdads. That's important in the grass too. Don't forget a jig in the summertime. That's a bait that a lot of people throw in winter. They forget all about it in the summer. It's a phenomenal bait in grass because you may or may not know it, but how often do you see crawdads climbing on the grass?
Late spring, they start moving around pretty often.
It's crazy.
You can see
undersides of the mats. You know, guys are
really,
frogging,
really close match.
thinking they're imitating a frog. They might be imitating crawdads on that slop. You know, they're all over the place. It's just really match that hatch.
Yeah, one thing to point out here on Clear Lake, I can't tell you how many times I caught bigger fish on a smaller rip bait than the giant rip bait because the fish are up eating shad. You know, on the A rigs, we're not throwing 8-inch baits on the rig. We're throwing little 2.5s, 3.8s, 3. Whatever Kitex. You know, we're trying to match the fish that the fish are triggering and eating. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to your depths you're fishing. You know, the water temps as they get warmer, the fish are going to move up shallower. And yeah, you want to go into summer stuff?
Well, I think that really, that covers a lot of it. But if there's more you want to add, go for it. I mean, the gist of the question, I think, is which one of those schools of thought is right. And I think that what you need to understand, or what was just explained, is everybody that's on that forum arguing is telling the truth. They just have different goals.
Right.
They're trying to do different things. You've got to figure out which one is more important to you.
Yeah, guys. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully it'll clear things up. You know, cold water fishing. You can throw smaller baits, catch a lot more fish. You can throw big baits, hopefully get a big kicker fish. But we love the comments, we love the questions. So please feel free to email us, message us. We're, like Matt said, we're coming up with. We need new video ideas. So,
all the time.
All the time. So remember, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Send us your requests, guys. Hope this video helps.
Thanks. We'll talk to you soon. First thing is going to be the square bill crankbait. Square bill is a compact bait, fits that general bluegill profile where it's a short, stumpy bait, pretty round. More importantly, it moves very quickly, very erratic, something that bluegill do different. This may be a better day than I think. This lake is starting to look pretty stacked. So we're going to run down lake. I don't know how well you guys can see, but basically I've got a big point over on this side and an even larger point there on the left, and then the dam down there in the background. And I think I'm going to focus around those first couple of big points, although I got to admit this stuff is looking pretty darn good. But we're going to start out down there. We're going to focus on some of that stuff and see if we can find some fish on the little bit of structure that is in